Good morning. My name's Pete Conroy. I work at Jacksonville State University and have been there for over 20 years, and it's an honor to be an Alabamian now, and it's especially great to see our colleagues and our friends and most importantly visitors that aren't from here. You come to Alabama and you have perceptions. You have some ideas of what you're expecting to see when you get here, and there's some things you may not know about. I'd like to point out where exactly you are right now in historical terms, and I'd like to point out those windows right there, the Choccolocco Mountains. Now, we turned that into a national wildlife refuge some years ago, but they're significant, not just because they're pretty, but not just because they have 300-year-old longleaf pine trees, but because they were the homes of the Muskogee Indians. This is Muskogee country here. This is Creek country. We're going to fast forward now from the woodland period to about 1942. Right here at McClellan, something happened that very few people know about. But this was one of the nation's largest and most successful military bases, of course. Right around the corner here, less than a mile from where we're sitting right now, is something called the Monteith Amphitheater. Jimmy Monteith died in Paris during World War II. Amphitheater was named after him. We rediscovered it. It was covered up in kudzu and privet and poison ivy. And when we started to do the research, guess what? 1942, the 92nd Infantry, 200 white guys, 800 black guys, activated. They activated. And when you look at history, many believe that was the first act of integration in the United States of America. The 92nd Infantry here in Anniston, Alabama, in 1942. Alabama? Who would have thunk it, right? So that was an amazing moment in history. Fast forward again to 1961. 1961, of course, the year of the Freedom Rides. It's the reason we're here right now. Shortly, you will be among the few people in the world that get this story firsthand from one of the two living original Freedom Riders, Charles Person. Now, Charles is not just about the past, about the history that he made, but because of him, he's about the present and the future. The Freedom Rides are living on to the benefit of the nation right now. Go back a little bit, 2 years ago, I got a phone call, uncharacteristically, at 11 o'clock at night, and he's not in a good mood. He was watching the chaotic protests after the killing of George Floyd. He said, "Look at those people. They don't know what they're doing. They shouldn't be out at night. Look at this. You have antagonists within the protest group that are stealing the message." He said, "We got to develop a training program for protesters." And he hung up. And I'm like, I'm not watching Comedy Central anymore, We started thinking, and COVID had just started. It was a couple of years ago. And so we had a little extra time on our hands, so we started the Zoom. And thanks to Melanie English right back here, she brought to the table NYPD, LAPD, and DCMPD. We brought in Black Lives Matter, the DA's office, the U.S. Attorney's office. We brought in designers, architects, artists. And we Zoomed for a year and a half and came up with something called the Freedom Riders Training Institute. We have a place for it. I'll mention that in a minute. But the content of the Training Institute is indeed a program that would help train protesters. It's protester education. The idea was to be proactive and reach protesters before they made mistakes, before they broke the law, to make sure their message was delivered properly. But the funny thing is that even though we developed our modules with the help of some of the people right here in the room, we developed these modules for first responders, law enforcement, educators, elected officials, but the audience that came to us was the court system. The Hoover court system, specifically over near Birmingham, 150 young people were arrested protesting after George Floyd at one of our big shopping malls. They had stepped outside of their protest zone. They were all arrested. So they wanted us to apply our Freedom Rider training modules to those arrested individuals. And I'm here to tell you, for the first time in the history of the United States of America, protesters, after going through our modules and successfully completing the course, they have had their sentences reduced or completely expunged. First time in the nation, and we hope to take this model nationwide. We hope to grow this program, and I hope as of right now you're thinking about it to help us do that yourselves. But moving to the actual location that where Charles and other Freedom Riders were attacked in our little town, 2 bus stations, the Greyhound and the Trailways. Charles's troubles were at the Trailways, but an hour before that, the Greyhound bus is the one that made all the news. And the Greyhound bus left behind the Greyhound bus station and an entire block. There's something about stalled economic development. That moment in time on Gurney Avenue, right at this moment, looks like it did in 1961. So this community now is working together to develop a civil rights judiciary district next to our new beautiful federal courthouse for the sake of heritage tourism and the sake of future generations. We hope to have appropriate food and entertainment, but more than anything, civil rights education, and that may be the place where the Freedom Rider Training Institute builds its home. It is an honor to have you all here in Anniston, Alabama, and it's an honor, Mr. Russell, to be in your presence. Thank you so much.
Thank you.